Melbourne, who has always been very supportive of the local Vietnamese community and an advocate of human rights and social justice. Mr. Donnellan, MP, State Member for Narrowman North.
Thank you very much for having me here tonight to join you to say a few words. I congratulate you on actually putting together conferences like this, because it's so important, I think, that the young of the Vietnamese community actually look at fighting for democracy in Vietnam. I think it recognises the enormous sacrifice, the parents, the relatives, and it really pays homage to those who've gone before, who hopped on the boats and did the enormous struggle to come out to Australia and give the young of this country, or the Vietnamese community, a better life. It's important that the Vietnamese government, I guess, has got a couple of choices in the way I look at it. They can take the Chinese model, which may work for a while, but in the long run, I think the idea of a Chinese model without the benefits of democracy, without the capacity to argue, will not work as a creative nation. So sooner or later, the economic growth of Vietnam would come to a halt, a bit like I expected in China, because you need the clearinghouse of a democracy in the long run to actually be truly creative nation. And I think Vietnam could be an incredibly creative nation, an incredible place with that strength of democracy. I know the National Congress, I had it explained to me some years ago, is very much split into three different camps: the pro-Russian, the pro-Chinese, and the pro-American, and is unable to really decide which route the country wants to take. Of course, in my eyes, there's only one route it can take, and that's very much a democratic route, and that will be the best economically for the country, full stop, because of that creativity which comes out of it. Having visited Vietnam some years ago to visit Father Lee and Donnellan, I don't think most Australians realise what it's like to live in Vietnam as a Vietnamese individual. There is enormous suffering, terrible wages, the union movement doesn't exist in Vietnam, people are treated appallingly, and I think that's something that many Australians don't really understand. They go over there on holidays and they think it's a beautiful place, and it is a beautiful place to look at, but unfortunately, if you live there as a Vietnamese individual, there are, unless you're a child of a communist, I guess, there are terrible restrictions on your life. And I know the suffering I saw in the factories, the treatment of workers I saw in the factories was awful when I went over there. And I know the suffering of Father Lee and people like that, who are incredibly compassionate and brave people, who continue to fight for the basic principle of religious and democratic freedoms. They are incredibly impressive individuals, and someone like Donnellan, whose whole career in banking has been ruined because he was a poet and he's again asking for democracy. So it's a very worthy cause to fight for democracy. I think that the young people, as I was saying, very much owe it to their parents. And I know I'm sort of being a bit like a teacher, but I think it's so important to recognise the sacrifice that the parents, the young people made to hop on a boat and to come to a land miles away was incredibly brave. It's, it never fails to impress me, the stories of the Vietnamese community hopping on a boat, coming to a country at 12 or years of age, like a good friend Von Lin, hopping on a boat at 12 years of age to go somewhere where you've got no idea. And that just shows the strength and the bravery of the community. And I think, I hope that the young will keep fighting for this democratic freedom in Vietnam, because I just think it's so important. So, look, thank you very much for allowing me to say a few words tonight. I encourage you to keep that fight. I hope to join you one day in Vietnam as a free, democratic country and a vibrant economy, which I have no doubt